Hello, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on Sports Illustrated and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider podcast. I am here at Allegiant Stadium, literally sitting at my press box seat, front row, looking down at the field in front of me. So you're going to hear a lot of the workers as they clean and move scaffolding or whatever else they're doing. I apologize about that. But as you know, I literally just got out of the locker room. We put video up and audio up of Antonio Pierce, Aiden O'Connell, Max Crosby, and Divine Diablo. We'll have a lot more tomorrow morning from the locker room as well. You know me. I have always attempted as a journalist to be completely fair. And I'll tell you, if I'm being fair, this was a terrible football game. Started out, it's what you expected. We thought it would be a low scoring game. Two teams that love to play hard nosed, slobber, fight, scratch, claw. Two teams that want to force the other team to pass. It was a nightmare for the Raiders. Started strong, like last week in Denver, and then literally they just disappeared. It's complete lack of mental toughness. But I think last week I was very fair with you when I said this one wasn't on the coaches. Oh, let me tell you, there was bad coaching. There was bad special teams. There was bad offense by the players, bad special teams by the players, bad defense by the players. It was terrible. It was an absolute terrible performance. The crowd, I asked several members. Last week I gave you a crowd estimate, or 2 weeks ago, maybe, I don't remember. And a member of the Raiders took umbrage with my comment. I thought that was kind of funny. But so I asked several people today in the press box, and pretty much everybody said it was 65-35 Steelers or 70-30 Steelers. And I agree with that. So that's multiple opinions. Um, and you could tell. I'll get into more of that in a minute. So let's start with the obvious. The Luke Getsy offense that we saw in preseason was exceptional, very creative. It's dependent upon the team being able to do a multiplicity of things. Okay. When this team does a multiplicity of things, you saw it in Baltimore. You saw it last week in Denver, the first three drives before the pick six. You saw it today early. It's a great looking offense. But then Getsy literally abandons it, which just makes no sense to me. Let me give you a couple of examples, and I could give you a plethora of them, but I'm going to give you three. The Raiders come out at halftime, and I don't remember what the score. I think it was 9 to. I don't know what the score was at halftime, but irrelevant score. You know that's not going to be the final. So they come out, get a penalty. So they start 1st and 20. Okay. Now they're in a safe area. They're not in the shadow of their goalpost. You would fully expect the Raiders there to go on the attack. Hey, let's try to do something. We've told Aiden, don't throw the ball into bad situations. We know that he has a track record being relatively safe. Let's go. It's early in the second half. You're in a safe area. Let's get off our rear and go on the attack. They run it up the middle. Now, again, I have no problem with running the football, but at this point, they knew they had the only time they were having success running the football is when they passed to run. So what do they do 2nd and 18? Run the football. Then they put themselves in 3rd and long so the defense knows what they're going to do. Talk about setting up your quarterback to fail. It was horrible play calling. I mean, it was terrible. If that series alone was arrested for being an NFL quality, there would not have been enough evidence to convict it. Now, in fairness, he has a boss. So I'm going to try to find out if his boss told him go super conservative. I think we all know the answer to that, but we'll come back to it. We'll circle back to it. We'll give you another one. It was I think it was the next drive, 2nd and 18, safe part of the, 2nd and 8, safe part of the field. They go deep to Trey Tucker, get a first down. Why are you not doing that on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down on the previous? You just wasted a possession. You play the game of football where possessions are valuable. Clearly, they weren't valued in this game. And that's on somebody's head. Ridiculous. No excuse for it. That's terrible play calling. And then with that 65 or 70% Steelers crowd, and there was a bunch of Raiders that had already left, waving their terrible towels, the loudest it was all day, in the shadow of their goalpost, they throw 3 times. When everybody in the building would have said, okay, just run the ball and let A.J. Cole boot it out of there, they throw 3 times. And it culminated in the third one being an interception by Aiden O'Connell. It was terrible play calling. Again, the frustrating part is I have done my best to be fair to Luke Getsy. And when he has shown us something that's good, I point it out to you. And so when he shows something bad, people just forget that I'm the one calling it out when it sucks. I mean, it was terrible. And I'll tell you, you can't keep having the offense fail and throw your defense out there again, time and time again. And yeah, you look at the time of possession and there's a 3-minute difference. But after the game was out of hand, the Raiders had some drives. It's just ludicrous. And either AP, and again, I'm going to give Luke Getsy the benefit of a doubt. Perhaps AP is telling him to do that. I don't believe that. Nor does a couple of people I talked to believe that, but I'm going to find out tonight. Well, next 24 hours. That being said, assuming, and we know what happens when you assume, that's not AP. He needs to be meeting right now with Luke Getsy, going over the film, asking him, what are you doing? This isn't what I hired you for. Yes, I want a ball control offense. Yes, I want a team that takes shots downfield. Yes, I want a team that attacks, but I want a team that runs the football. What are you doing? Has to be doing that. And then has to go to him and say, this is not acceptable. You may go, remember back to Baltimore. It was AP who said, coming out after halftime, all right, we got to go. We got to go on the attack. And it was AP telling them, let's go, that got the team to get the biggest win of the season. If you're a Raider fan today, I think the biggest frustration in your mind is this offense shows flashes of what it can be. It's not like you're asking it to be something that it can't. You've seen it do it. There's proof of performance, but there's also proof of terrible play calling. Now, I'm not letting the players off the hook because you got to execute. But it starts and rises and falls with coaching. AP's going to have a come to Jesus meeting. I mean, immediately with Luke Getsy. And they're going to have to make some very hard decisions about this team is not good enough the way that the games are being called. I will tell you right now, and I'm not calling for anybody to get fired, but I'm telling you right now, I think this offense would look better with AP calling it. Does anyone think he's running the ball at 1st and 20 on the first drive when you're in safe territory? Give me a break. Where I'm from in Michigan, we'd say that dog don't hunt. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay. Player execution. Terrible. Fumbles. Dylan Labe, the rookie. Hey, rookies make rookie mistakes. And I've been covering this team for 5 years. And Raider Nation, you know my philosophy. You give rookies grace. Dylan Labe, his first touch. But here's the question I have. I'm sitting next to Ezekiel Trezevant, my co-beat writer. They're very important drive. Very important drive. His first carry of the year is in a critical situation when you're trying to hurry, and he fumbles. Now, he's going to learn. Should have had 2 hands on the ball. It's a learning curve. We're not throwing Dylan away. Great kid. Going to be potential to be a dangerous player. Nobody's throwing him away. But are you really going to take that risk there? Talk about not understanding the situational football. You're dealing with, you got to go, let's go. What? Come on now. Should Dylan have had 2 hands on the ball? Yes. Should he not have fumbled? Yes. Rookie, first carry. I'm going to show him grace, let it go. Was there other mistakes by rookies? There was. Delmar DJ Glaze had, wasn't perfect, but I thought he played well. Jackson Powers Johnson, was he perfect? No, thought he played well. Trayvon Merrick, I thought played very well. Jack Jones. There was a lot of people that I thought, what player execution. The Raiders are not good enough to beat themselves and to go beat the other team. Now, I'm going to say something right here. Second half tackling was very poor. First half was fine. But you're watching a defense that's running out of gas. Part of a good football team is you don't have to score a drive. Ideally, you want to. I'm not pretending you don't. You don't have to score every drive. But you absolutely, positively have to get, more than 3 and out, more than 4 and out or 5 and out. You got to get something sustained to let your defense that attacks get a blow. The reason this team is struggled with tackling today, especially late in the second half, was they were exhausted. The defense was just spent. Now, still on them. They're still pros, but I think, me, I'm going to try to be fair. Trying to be fair here. And I think that is being fair. Special team block. Guys not watching their gaps. I'm going to watch that one on film before it looked to me, and I'm not making any excuses, you got to block. But it did look like the Steelers executed perfectly, and it was a formation. I've watched all their games, and it was a formation I've not seen them in punt coverage run. I could be wrong there. I reserve the right to be wrong. Again, I'm going to check on that one, but still, you have to execute. Again, I thought, I'll give you another coaching error. It looked to me like Amir Abdullah was in the end zone. Okay, now listen. Last year, you may remember one of AP's first games, there was a mistake with not having a coach upstairs to tell him whether or not to challenge. They wanted to go hurry up after he didn't get it, but he said it was close, but no, he didn't get in. That's what matter of fact, I want to double check that, but I want to read you the quote. So give me 1 second here, if you don't mind. I want to be extremely respectful of you and of AP. Okay, it looked like Amir got in, and he said, we went hurry up. I actually feel like he was in. Okay, I actually feel like he was in or out. It was close. Inside zone running play, not expecting a fumble to happen on the next one. So that's kind of how the play went. Okay, so it was close. But that's where we're talking about coaching. He's got somebody now in the box that has to tell him, coach, no. Coach, no. You got to wait. You can't go hurry up here. You got to let us look. That's not an EP. That's the guys upstairs. Now, there was a play earlier this year about a challenge. So clearly there's issues with the upstairs challenge. And I don't know which one's in charge of it. I would name them. But clearly the Raiders got to work that out too. So here they sit 2-4. They head to La La Land next weekend to take on the Rams. That's going to be tough. That one's not going to be an easy one. And they're going to have to go down there and literally battle. I know they're not playing well. I know they're going to have a good crowd. But right now, this team is not showing the mental toughness to win at home, let alone on the road. But 2-4. And think about this one. Okay. Let's say they lost today. But this is a team that at minimum should be sitting here today at 3-2. I think you can make an argument for 4-1. That's where I thought they'd be. just not good, simply not good enough. And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of frustration among Raider Nation. I don't blame them. This team, it has a long way to go. That being said, you can go back and watch the podcast. If you go with a rookie coach, first of all, I give every coach 20 games. This is 6 games for AP. And I've talked about at length why you give 20 games. Some of his new staff isn't going to work out. You're going to have to make changes. We get that. This team is in desperate need of a quarterback. Okay. A lot of people thought that way. They were not sure. They were not sure. So I think it's a better franchise in the long run because where they were picking, they were not going to be able to move up. They did the right thing getting Brock Bowers. I think they're moving all in, and they know they have to get a quarterback next year. They're aware of that. That is clearly need number one. That said, you stick with Aiden O'Connell. Let him continue to develop. I'm going to tell you right now, he had the bad interception, but this wasn't a loss that you pin on Aiden O'Connell. You pin this one on the entire team. Everybody was responsible tonight. There was nobody that was not responsible. And so the complete recap is it was a terrible performance. And AP was asked about the record. He says, we are what it says we are. And I love the fact that there's no coach speak out of him, no hyperbole, no excuses. I think that's something that's admirable. I think that's something that the good coaches have. But he's 6 games in. And I think the players need to look in the mirror because they all wanted him. And every coach on this staff cashing a Mark Davis check, he believed in them and hired them. And every one of those people needs to look at him and say, we got to be better. And he knows this. He's 6 games in as a head coach. He's got to get better too, and he will. But just like rookies, this is why when you hear me talk about coaching changes and say, if you want to make a change with AP at the end of the year, okay, I mean, doesn't one of the things have to be no new coaching? Because if you don't like these, this is what happens with new coaches. There's a learning curve. Again, I may be 100% wrong. This organization, it wasn't like Bo Hardigree last year that was a first-time offensive coordinator. Luke Getsy's got experience. It's there. Everybody had to do better. It was a disappointing loss. AP was visibly frustrated, in my opinion, which he should be. The players were. It's frustrating. And the problem is, you say, okay, we got to move on to the next one. But then what happens is pretty soon when you're piling loss after loss, then it's almost as if you're not letting it hurt. This one should hurt. The Raiders left it on the field today. And the Raiders could have won this football game. Absolutely could. This was a winnable football game. Now, I'm taking nothing away from the Steelers. I think Mike Tomlin is the second best coach in the National Football League. I think it's a tremendous organization that every team needs to look at as an example of stability and long-term sustained success. Give them all the credit in the world. They came in here and handed the Raiders their rear, but the Raiders helped them. And that's where the Raiders got to be mad. You had a winnable football game against a terrifically coached team with a highly successful franchise, and you failed. Period. No other way around it. No other way to cut the mustard than to just call it exactly what it was. It was a failure. Tomorrow we'll meet with AP. Tuesdays is off. And then we'll be back at it Wednesday. Of course, we're still covering everything on Tuesday, but I'm talking about the team. And they get ready to head to Los Angeles on what's sure to be Another big game. But I'll tell you, I don't even know how to approach it. No clue. Raider Nation, you deserved better today. You were let down by your team. Now they're 2-4. It is what it is.